the computer. All right, so now we're recording. I'm going to share my screen, which is going to be the entirety of my screen. So you can see my screen now?
Yeah.
All right. So first thing that I want to do is clone the repository. So actually I need to remove that. So I already have a copy here. All right. So in order to do that, I'm going to go to where I want to download it from. And I actually want to use my fork and not the original one. I click on fork, click on my copy, click on clone or download, click copy to keyboard. And I am in a folder where I'm keeping all my repositories. Let's see if that works. That's in documents, devel. So just similar to how I have it set up on my laptop, I just have another folder here that contains my Git repositories. So git clone, Control V. All right, looks like that was pretty simple. And I can see an XNet downloader. And then I want to add the original one as the upstream copy. Copy there. So that I can add this as upstream, which means that this is just another reference of XNet downloader that I can copy from and get changes from. I'm going to type in git remote add upstream, and the name upstream is just a convention. That it could be called anything. I can type in git remote v, see that I have my origin and upstream specified. So now I'm going to git pull upstream master. Let's see if I can make my font a little bit bigger. And see if I can operate at the top of the screen. Where am I? Okay. So we have it downloaded. I have the upstream set up and I've copied from that. And the next step that I want to do is take a look at the current Dockerfile. I already have VS Code installed, so I can open up this repository with VS Code. I'll open up the Dockerfile to see what we're working with. Yeah, this is something that I manually specified at some point. So the first thing that I'm going to do is try to make a new Dockerfile that is going to be generated automatically. And I want it to run all the same commands, essentially, as I'm running here. Okay. Okay, so I'm just going to try to do a faithful translation of this Dockerfile using the NeuroDocker. And NeuroDocker is a utility that helps you build Docker files automatically. I'll say Docker run. I'll say Docker, well, I was going to say Docker images, see what I have available. So here is NeuroDocker. So this is the thing that's going to help me build my Docker file. And I suppose to make it even more inline, I can actually just run a terminal within code. So I don't have to leave this environment. And that will make it feel a little bit more familiar. So if I type in Docker images, and yes, I have this one. I'm going to Control C, Docker run 0.7.0. And then I want to, first argument is what we want to generate. I want to generate a Dockerfile. Let me make sure that I have that correct. I think that's what I want. Generate Docker. And then I think that there's some syntax that I want to copy over from another project that we've done recently, the Excel bits transform project. Go to the original. And here I want to take a look at how I built the Dockerfile. To see, okay. I need to specify base. So the base refers to essentially another Docker image. So I want to see what Docker image I'm actually going to copy from. Okay. I might actually just make a new file for that too. So I'm going to make a new folder. I'm going to call it scripts. And within scripts, I'm going to make a new file. It's going to be called build dockerfile.sh. And then within here, I'm going to specify this Docker run. So this will be a shell script. So that means I won't be able to run this with PowerShell. And I guess as I'm talking, feel free to ask any questions as they come up.
Yeah, of course. I'm a little bit lost in just the well, a little bit of everything, unfortunately. But could you explain a little bit about the sub goal you're working on right now?
So right now, I am trying to create a Docker file, which already exists, but I want to make a Docker file that is generated automatically, so I don't have to manually specify this Docker file.
Okay.
And I want to add to it the remote VS Code, so that I can run VS Code through my browser.
Okay.
And it will have all the software dependencies installed on that VS Code browser as well.
Okay. Keep going, please.
Which I suppose. So I'm probably going to do that in 2 stages, actually, where first I just want to replicate the build of this Docker file. And then I'll create another development Docker file that actually has VS Code installed on it. So one Docker file will be just for the application, so that users can run the application without having to develop this XNAT downloader. So people that just want to use it and not actually work on development. And then I'll create another Docker file that can be used for development purposes. So when you actually want to change the code and not just run things.
Yeah, just a quick question, James. So for the development Docker file, is that also generated through NeuroDocker?
Yes, and that will also be generated through NeuroDocker. So this one, I'm just going to copy all this. And I'll change it as I go. Okay, so the base is, what is the starting out Docker image? So it looks like I'm using Debian Trusty. That's just pointing to another, essentially, specification for another type of computer. Okay. I think then I don't need to specify these things. Let's see, then I might need to install PIGZ. Manager app. Okay. And I think it was the install. Was the command. If I wanted to figure it out, I could generate Docker help, I think. If this is helpful. Install system packages. Okay, so yeah, so it's just install. And I think everything else that's in here is going to be installed automatically. I don't need to specify these, but we'll see. All right. And then I want to install this. So that is all going to be a long run command. Let's see, my root still. I'm gonna guess that I am. Yeah, another thing that I'm gonna have to be concerned about is if I am a user that doesn't have permission to access and install everything, or if I'm a user that does have permission to install and run everything. I'm going to see if just putting everything in parens works. I think, yeah, we'll see. We'll see if this actually works. If I'm able to put all these commands on new lines with this backslash, meaning that I can continue on to a new line. Like I have up here, but we'll see if that will work in the context of already being between like quotation marks.
And is that only for readability?
It is for readability, yes. So I wouldn't have to like scroll all the way over here just to be able to read something. Because yeah, all this could be represented on one line and have everything on one line, but it would be, I guess there's also an additional benefit that accompanies readability is if I was to change something and change one of the commands here, then if I am able to check that out in Git or keep track of my changes in Git, then yeah, it'll be more specific to what line that I've actually changed. Instead of saying, I changed line 3, even though line 3 contained the entire command, so I wouldn't know what it really I changed. Okay, so we'll see if that works. And it looks like the next step is to install miniconda, which I think is just right here. Yeah. And then, let's see. Now I'm trying to remember a conversation, Zoheb, when we installed miniconda. Did we have to be a user or
If I remember correctly, we installed it as root in the ops folder.
Yeah. Yeah, so we have user root here. Then we're running everything as the person that has access to everything. Okay, and it looks like where did we install? All right, did we install miniconda here? All right, oh, it was Dockerfile exec. There we go. Or actually, it looks like we installed it as user, as the coder. Okay, so that is how I will do it as well. So I'll have user coder, so that's what this corresponds to. And then after this, I will specify miniconda, an option. So I'll pass. And then I have a requirements.txt, which contains the actual things that I wish to install. The actual items that are required to have this package work. I can specify miniconda, then pip install. I guess before all this, I do need to copy everything. Where is this copy? Yes, I guess even before this. Right now, the Dockerfile does not have, in the instructions as I printed them, the Dockerfile does not have access to any of the files that are in my repository when the Docker image is being built. I need to physically give it access by specifying copy. And I want to copy everything into, say, home coder project. I think that's the specification for it when I say copy. Copy. Use the format, source, destination. So I think that should work. Okay, then with miniconda, I want to pip install. So now with this command, this copy command, I should be able to access everything that's inside all of these files now, inside the Docker image. So I want to say pip install home coder project. Requirements.txt. And then what other options did they give me for miniconda? as pip ops. Let's see, pip ops. I think this needs to be an equal sign. And pip ops, since I'm installing everything from a file as opposed to specifying it by name. So alternatively, I think I could say like pyxnat, and then it would install pyxnat by giving it a path, Control Z. I now need to tell Miniconda to install the packages that are located within that text file. And pip needs a special option in order to read from a text file. And I believe that is -r. So if I pass in pip ops equals -r, then it should be able to read from this requirements.txt and install everything to that Miniconda installation. Okay.
And can you refresh me for my essay, Miniconda? What is that? What would that be considered?
That is like a environment, a scientific environment for Python.
Okay.
So it's kind of overlaying and or overlapping with pip. So you can install things using Conda, like Conda install or Conda other commands that does some of the same stuff that pip does, mainly just installing packages to your Python installation. Also, what Miniconda makes easier to do is creating virtual environments so that you can have separate Python installations on the same machine, and those Python installations will not interfere with each other.
Okay. I need 1 second here, James. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And then, did you want me to wait, Trevor, or did you want me to keep going?
I'm sorry. We just Rudy is trying to. She has to be get checked at the hospital today, and we're trying to figure out get over there. I think she can get over there with an Uber fine, but if she can't, I might have to leave to drive her. So fine.
Okay.
We'll find out shortly.
Yeah.
But
okay.
I'll just continue.
Okay. Yeah, just let me know. Keep me updated.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. So after we have this specified, I think that should work. Let's take a look at the Dockerfile to see what the next step is. So it looks like the next step is actually installing XNAT downloader. Okay. I feel like that we can make that a little bit better.
So this is the original Dockerfile you're looking at there?
Yeah, this one's the original Dockerfile that I just wrote manually.
Okay. And you're using that as a template for the one?
Yeah, for the one that I want to build automatically.
Okay.
I think, oh, this already has. Okay, so what does requirements do? XML to Dix and set up to PY. Oh, this already has the, okay. So it looks like requirements.txt might be superfluous. And honestly, since this is the only Python that I'm going to be running, I wonder if I can assume it's going to be Python 3. Oh, it has to be Python 2. I think it needs to be Python 2 for this to work. So this I might not actually need Miniconda. Since I need Python 2, and I think by default, this Debian trusty package comes with Python 2. So if I just install this Python 2, then I should be able to get this to work. And how do I?
Wait, so is all of XNAT Downloader written in Python too?
Yeah, XNAT Downloader is written in Python.
Python 2?
Python 2, yeah, Python 2.
Okay.
And I haven't upgraded it to Python 3. I guess that's 2.8. I've been manually not doing well keeping up with the versions. Okay. So I think if I copy that in there, I have the home, and I have the environment, then I don't need any of these yet. So this will just make it so that whenever I run a shell command, it'll happen in bash as opposed to just the So there's the most popular shell is bash, so I want to make sure that I am using that. All right, so next step, I think I can just specify a run command that will be pip install home coder project. Maybe I'll install it in editable mode. So what editable mode does means that if I change the code in here, it'll change how the package functions. Whereas if I don't have editable mode, it'll literally copy the code to the location where it actually installs the Python package, and then that is completely separate from the code that exists in this directory. Since I'm making this with the idea that I'm going to make another environment that's going to be Docker or Docker environment or Docker container or Docker image that's based on this Docker image. Once I make this Docker image, I want to be able to create that development Docker image, and then I'll be able to edit the code that's in this directory, this project directory, and actually have it change the functionality of the Python XNAT downloader, the application that I'm installing. So that's the reason for the -e option. It was a little bit rambly. So I don't know where I add this to path or how it knows that it should look inside here. Oh, here it is. And I'm just going to add this one. I think this is all I need. So this will make it so that it knows where to look for this dependency that I'm also installing. Let's see how that needs to look. I specify end. key equals value. Yeah. I'm going to say path. So the trouble here is that I don't want this variable to be expanded until it's actually running it as a part of the build process. Because if I type out, so I don't know what we'll do on Windows, honestly. Path. I guess path isn't defined on Windows. But I don't want that to happen either. So I have path on Windows. No, it's not defined. So I don't want that to evaluate to an empty string. Because if I redefine path, and this evaluates to an empty string, then the only command that I'll have access to once I log into this Docker image will be this DCM to NIX command. So I won't have access to LS. I won't be able to look at directories. I won't have access to CD or any of the other commands that I should have access to. Okay. I think the only other thing was the entry point. So if I look at this entry point, it'll be a little bit different still. So I think the entry point I can specify will just be xnat downloader. And need to put a backslash here. Okay, so now I'm going to run this and see what errors I get. And I need to, wonder what's the default shell. I can run this one. Cool. I can have a bash shell since I actually need a bash shell to run this. Okay, so I'm going to see what happens if I go into scripts and say build Dockerfile. And command not found because I did not specify backslash here. So that error makes sense?
Yeah, so that was like you need like a line continuation.
Because it stopped interpreting the command here. And then it said, oh, that means you must want to use a new command here. Since I didn't have this backslash to say, I need you to continue interpreting this all as one command.
So question a little bit off topic, but .sh, what does that stand for?
Shell.
Shell, okay. Is this still the Python language, or is this a different language in this then?
This is a different language. It's all the, like when you open up your terminal and type in ls and cd.
That makes sense. Yeah.
That's the language.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense now. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no problem. So yeah, so this is using that language. Just as the same way that you can interactively type it in your terminal, you can also put it in a file and run it as a script.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, okay.
Yeah, I like to sometimes think of it as like the bash language. It's just like.
Okay. All right, so that means that created it. All right. So actually, I'm going to run it from here. So I'm going to say scripts, build Dockerfile. And then I want to, let's see if this works. So I'm going to try to pipe the output of this, which is all this NeuroDocker does is that it creates the Dockerfile for me, but I still need to build it myself. So I'm going to see if I can't build.
What's the difference between creating and building?
So this file is essentially creating this is creating the recipe. So the instruction sheet to be able to actually build the image. So this is the instruction sheet to build the image. Does that make sense?
I'm maybe depend. I want to keep watching. Maybe it'll click a little bit after I see you work with it.
Yeah. So this is now the new Docker file that was made for me.
Okay.
It's of the same type as this Docker file. It's just called something different. Dockerfile underscore test. So I'm going to try to say Docker build tag. Let's see, JVCant, xnet, dl. So that is what I will call it if it builds successfully, which I am almost certain it will not. So that's what I'll tag it. And then the file that I want it to use is Dockerfile test. So Dockerfile test, then the context that I want to build is the current context that we're in. So I'm going to see what errors I get after it downloads the NeuroDebian, this image that it's based on. And this is basically another, what would you call it? This is essentially like another specification or another like blob that represents another computer or another type of computer.
What do you mean when you say another type of computer?
So this represents a Linux machine that has a particular version of a Linux machine.
So a different OS?
Yeah. So it's a different OS than the one that I'm running, and it's located and built. It's located on some remote location that's available on Docker Hub. And let's see. Let's add no such file or directory. Hooray. Okay, so maybe we got some errors, which might be because of this. I'm going to see if that fixes it. If I put that, let's see,
Is this
what
just an
command did it
intuition that you're operating off of?
Yep. I'm seeing which command it failed on. So this is the installation for everything. So I want it to be before I install anything. So I need to specify the M command here. I can probably do it all in one line, but let's see. Because I saw that I had that specified here. And I see that some of the errors back here exist and look similar to this idea, like UTF, which I don't even remember what it stands for, but looks like it'll help. I'm going to try that again. Or no, I need to generate the file again. So I'm going to make the Dockerfile test And then I'm going to build it again. And then we'll see if this works. And see if that was the reason for the error that I got. But yeah, there's different levels of understanding that I typically only understand things as much as I need to get the job done. Looks like I still got that error. I still got that error. Curl. So this is installing things that I haven't even specified yet. Let's see, do we have to get update, install curl locales and zip. Okay. So I don't know if I would actually be able to change that in time. But I don't know, maybe I can try a different base since I'm not even relying on anything that's particular about this base, I don't think. And it appears to be causing me problems.
What does a base refer to?
So this base refers to this other computer, or this other blob that represents a Linux computer.
Okay.
Let's see. Very interesting. Let's try this one. I have it. Stretch non-free. Let's see what that does. Or no, I didn't want to do that there. I wanted it to do it here. Actual build process. Okay. Make the Dockerfile test. Try to build the test. See if it works. Will it work? Looks like I'm getting farther than I did. Pip is not found. Okay. So if pip is not found, then that suggests that there might be something that I might need to install pip as a part of this Docker image. So I can see what's available on this Docker image. Since I'm using this one right here, this NeuroDebian stretch non-free, so I can just Docker, well, I can log in into that image. I can say Docker run, I want an interactive terminal, remove. I don't want any changes that I make to the Docker image to remain after I log out of it. And I want to make sure that my entry point is a bash shell. So that means whenever I run it, or when I run it this time, it'll drop me into a shell environment. NeuroDebian stretch non-free. How's Zach? This looks to be a Windows specific error. Okay. Well, I guess while that's happening, I'm just going to specify another argument here and say pip. And I'm going to assume that pip just needs to be installed.
James, you might be able to run that Docker container if you get rid of the dash bin dash. So if you just put entry point bash, I think I've I think I've done that before and it's worked, but
Just say bash.
yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
What did the bin do there? Like getting rid of it helped.
I think the error was that it was looking for that specific file path in James's file directory, which in Windows they don't have like -bin -bash. They have like the C program files, that entire path for how they specify their directories. But like on Linux, like you could just go to -bin and then you would see like the actual like bash file that executes all the shell scripts in that location.
Okay. Yeah, actually now I'm trying to remember. I think I remember this error. I've seen it in the past, trying to do this exact same thing. Okay, so it actually looks like that this thing doesn't have Python. Let's see. So I listed the contents of the directory, then piped all the contents into the directory into a search command called grep. And I searched for Python. And it looks like Python does not exist on this machine. So I guess I'll add that to another thing that I need to install. Okay, so I'll install Pigsy Python. Python 2.7. I think that's how you specify it. So I can test that in here. So I can say apt install Python 2.7. No, oh, because I need to do apt update first. And I'll need to do apt install Python 2.7, I think. That will install Python 2.7 for me. Now, do I have access to pip? Do I have access to Python? Where did it install? But I have access to Python 2.7. Okay. So what happens if I just install Python? So it still installed Python 2.7. Now I have access to Python. And do I have access to pip? I still don't have access to pip. So I'll say apt install pip. That did not work. And let's see. Actually somehow got into this full screen mode. Okay, so I want to install pip Linux. Python pip. Okay, simple enough. Okay, so I just want to do apt install Python pip. Let's see if that works. That's beefy. 320 megabytes.
What is pip exactly?
So pip is what is the Python. Yep, it's another one of those recursive names that anyone that works in like the open source software world is also fond of. It stands for pip installs packages, or pip installs Python. So similar to mini Conda or Anaconda, pip is the more general purpose installation manager for Python. So if I ever want to install more packages, say like NumPy or Pandas or any of the other packages that we've used, we use pip to do so. R just has like the one, they kind of have like the one package manager when you say your install command. So R is a little bit more, I guess as far as I'm aware, has slimmed it down to just have a couple options for how they install things.
Does then Anaconda, Miniconda, and pip compete, or are they complementary?
They are mostly complementary, but they can compete for certain uses. So Anaconda kind of does. So Anaconda and Miniconda are basically the same thing. It's just Anaconda installs all the bells and whistles, whereas Miniconda is more of a streamlined version. So it doesn't install as much on your machine. So they'll both handle, Miniconda and pip will both handle installing Python packages. Anaconda/Miniconda can do a little bit more towards installing things that aren't strictly Python on your machine, but still keeps it in an isolated environment so it doesn't impact the rest of your machine. So if you needed to install like a certain piece of software that wasn't Python, Anaconda and Miniconda can handle those situations. Pip, however, only deals with Python. So if you need to have, if one of your Python, if your Python code depends on an installation of something else, say with what I have in this case, another software program that's called DCM to NIAX, which is written in C, so another programming language. In order for me to have access to that, I could use Anaconda to install that, or I can just install it myself and install the Python part with pip and just control it all myself. So what Miniconda does is it kind of tries to simplify the process of installing everything on your computer to make sure that you have everything that you need in order to get an application running. Whereas pip just deals with the Python portions.
We did not, we took away Miniconda from this, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So here, yeah, so I'm just manually dealing with the installation of DCM to NIAX, and I'm just going to use pip to install the actual package that I want to use. So let's see if this one works. So I'm going to exit from here. Then I want to make the Dockerfile test again. Then I want to build this again. Looks like we'll go through the install process since I added some new dependencies, or since I added Python and Python pip. So it'll rerun that step. And pip. I do not want it to copy there. I think it copied to the, that is odd. Which might be related to the other issue I was having. I want this to be literally this.
Hey James, is there a reason that it's assuming like Windows file paths for everything?
I honestly don't know.
Okay.
Besides it thinking that, or besides just Windows overreaching.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
I'm gonna
So
try to
maybe it's
build
just
that
like
again.
the way Windows has Docker installed or something with certain permissions, maybe.
Yeah. Let me see. What is that? Yeah, it's still wrong. Why is it wrong? Why is it trying to evaluate that path even? So I can see why people get frustrated at Windows. I wonder. Do I just need to specify like a backslash? What will that do? It's closer. Just don't know. I might just manually change it. I have no idea what this is going to help or hurt. Yeah, that just didn't do anything again. Okay. I think there might be like a specific way that I can tell Docker to like not do this, but I don't know the Windows incantation off the top of my head in order to do that. So I'm just going to try this.
Sorry about that.
You're good. I'm going to try this. Put it on here. I guess I need that to be changed. I need that to be changed. I need this to be changed.
So right now you're manually changing some of the features you set up during the automatic creation.
Mm-hmm. Because I think that there's a way I can get Windows to ignore or to not do that, but I just wanted to get something running quickly instead of spending more time Googling. So I think this will do.
Wait,
what
so
I
it's
want
actually
to do.
NeuroDocker that creates those file paths?
Yeah, so I'm calling NeuroDocker through Docker. It's very oniony again.
Interesting. Okay.
So NeuroDocker, NeuroDocker. So I'm saying, I guess when I call this script, the script is calling Docker and saying Docker run NeuroDocker. So I think that there's something funky going on when I say Docker run build. Actually, this might not occur. No. If I just copy pasted this and go to one of my PowerShell ones, what happens if I paste that? If I put that into Dockerfile test, and PowerShell is angry at me. Yeah, never mind. Yeah, I'm just gonna try this one with the manual change for now and just curse the Windows gods. Let's see if that works. It failed. No module name, setup tools. So I need to actually like install setup tools. Okay. So I guess I need to specify, I guess I need to explicitly install setup tools. Install setup tools. I need to specify that as well. Okay. And this is the glorious path of creating a script to make sure everything works. And then I need to delete this. And this is honestly like probably the most painful part of trying to get stuff to work, since this is the part where you're essentially trying to get things to install on someone's computer when you're doing all the manual installation. What's nice is that once you do this once, and then you're set to have this work if you don't mess around with it. Okay, so I'm gonna run this again. All right, oh, did I want to? No, I didn't want to run that again. No. I wanted, can I do Control Z? Oh, whatever. Gonna run it. I need to change. Oh, wait. This looks okay. Why does this look okay? Okay. So that file looks all right. I'm gonna try to build it again. We'll see if it's able to actually install everything. Tag info, permission denied. This is becoming less fun.
Struggles working with Docker.
Okay. So it says I need to be like sudo in order to install this. I don't think so. Okay. No, I'm just gonna go back to mini Conda. It's just kind of friends with mini Conda. Okay, so install ping. Home coder, user coder. Okay. If I specify mini Conda, and then how exactly do we do it here? I created the Conda environment. Okay, so I'm just going to do conda init and pip install e. I think are the only ones. So what do I need to specify? Do I need to specify anything for miniconda? I don't know if I can just leave miniconda blank and have it work. Ooh, but I guess I do want it to be Python 2.7. So then after this, I just want to modify this run command. Say conda init and pip install. Okay. And then I'm just going to go look at the documentation for the narrow Docker real quick.
What are you looking for in the documentation?
I'm looking for their usage of miniconda. So I want conda install Python. Okay. Activated narrow Docker. Okay. What if I could just install things to miniconda without creating an environment? We'll see. So here they have the create env command, but all I really want to do is just install Python 3.6. So we'll see if they allow me to do that. And instead of 3.6, I want 2.7. Dockerfile test. Create env or use env must be created. Okay. So I do have to create an environment. Have to create an environment. Suppose let's call it neuro as in their example. And then I'll have to, what all did I do? Or what all did we do? In here, I'll go back. So we had to initialize the common environment, then initialize. Okay, all that glorious stuff. An environment. It's called neuro. Let's try it again. Okay. Then we created this file. And this crap happened again. Now let's try building it again. And this will take a little bit since miniconda is still a bit of a beast to install. It's like installing everything. Okay, created a new environment. going to install Python 2. Okay. And from my experiences, another nice thing of having this is all the mistakes that I've made so far, they're just immediately thrown away with the build failing. So I don't have to deal with, like, I tried to install Python several different ways, and I don't have to live with that history of when I keep trying a new strategy. Like, the entire computer that I'm building just gets thrown away whenever I try to whenever I try to do that. Why is it not? Oh, was that the thing? I think we ran into that thing.
Thing?
Yep, sorry. There was Zohab actually solves this. I think you specify whenever you copy something, it actually copies it as the root user.
Yeah.
So was there just like the user command or like the user option that I could specify there?
I think you might be able to do that. Yeah. So actually,
I don't know if I can do that with a NeuroDocker.
Actually, in this case, I think we also pip install, or sorry, not pip install. We installed a Conda environment before we did Conda activate. So in the Dockerfile, I think it tries to activate an environment that we haven't installed.
In this one?
Yeah. So we try to activate Neuro, but I don't know if we. Oh,
it should be.
Oh, never mind. Yeah, you're right. Sorry.
But now I need to figure out if I can specify an additional argument with the copy. Well, I was going to look inside examples here. Let's see. Copy. I copy as a user. Yeah, so I guess Docker is not fully fledged. Okay. So I might just need to use the strategy that we used previously, which was just to change the ownership of everything inside that directory. Or, no, I'll do it here. So run. Coder, or I guess I need to specify. I need to make myself root, user root, so I have permission to run this command. I'll run this command. I'll change the ownership to of everything inside the project directory to be owned by the coder. And then I'm going to change my user again to coder. I guess I can say equals. And user equals coder again. All right. I think we're getting close. And change the messed up. Headers again. Okay. It's not invalid group. change to be coder. So I think one is considered a user and the other one's considered like to the left hand of the colon it's considered a user and to the right hand of the colon it's considered a group.
Yeah,
I guess
that
maybe
is my understanding as well.
Maybe user is just or coder is just a user and not a group. Yeah. And I'm curious why it worked on the other one.
What is a group?
A group is essentially another way of specifying file permissions. So the first three here are for the user has read and write permissions on this file. Then anyone that's, say, part of the same group can read the file. So my specific username is Xbox 180. So this Xbox 180 user has permissions to read and write this file. Then if I had a group that was set up, let's say like if Melissa had a profile on here, then it would like be her username. And if she was a part of the same group, then she would have read permission to this file. And then if somebody wasn't a part of that group, we called, say, family or something. If we had a group that was named family. And if somebody wasn't a part of that group and they were just like a new user that made an account on this computer, and if they were able to access this file, then they would only have read permission to this file. So this last three are is anyone, everyone, whoever could access this computer with an account. So a group is kind of makes it easier to aggregate a collection of people to have access to a certain amount of files. So it becomes useful when we're working with, say, the VOS LSS drive and the VOS RDSS drive and these other file systems that we mount on our own machines or that we log into, since otherwise ITS would have to individually give us each account access to all of those files. Instead, they're able to give access to a group, and then they add us to that group. So you never actually have to change the permissions of the files themselves. You just change which accounts have access to those files. That's the motivation on why one would want to have a group, and a little bit of what is a group.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. So with that, what did I run? I did not run anything yet. Gonna build it. Change these things. Y windows. Check what time it is. Okay. Okay. Now let's see if this runs. I'll do the mini Conda installer again. Well, I'm glad I got past that coder error. So I think if it gets this installed, fingers crossed, this one will actually work. Or at least it'll actually build. And then we'll see if I can run it and if it will run what I want it to run. I feel like I just need to like take a class or something on this. There has to be like a better way. But still, this is still better than trying to do this on every individual's machine.
Yeah, I was thinking it might have even been faster if we just built the Dockerfile manually just by copy and pasting older Docker files.
Yeah. Yeah, trying to use NeuroDocker was also kind of a shoehorn that probably wasn't for the best.
But now we're saying that anyone will be able to run this this bash command, this bash file, and have then a working Docker image to work in.
Other people won't even have to run this. Won't even have to run this Docker file as soon as I publish it on Docker Hub. Then you can just pull down the Docker file, or I mean, you can pull down the Docker image, and then it'll come pre-built. So Windows against non-Windows. Build will have. Okay. Just give me a little warning there. I don't think that was necessary. Okay, so let's see. Let's see what happens when I type in Docker run. I just want JD Kent, XNet, DL, help. Let's see what that does. Ooh.
Nice.
It actually worked. Okay, so now we have something that's functioning. Hooray. Okay, and it only took an hour and a half. Maybe a little bit less. Okay, now we have that. We have a Docker file. So I'm going to move Dockerfile test, or let me test one more thing. I want to make sure that there's something else that exists. Entry point, bash.
Oh, you have to do IT.
Oh, IT, yep. Thanks. I guess I don't need that, but yeah, okay. Then I want to see FBC. Does that work? Okay, it looks like that works too. Okay, that was the other piece of software that I installed on this Docker image that it needs to work. Okay. So we got it done. And I'm going to move Dockerfile test to Dockerfile. I'm just going to call it that. So this is changed, and now this should be deleted. And now we get all that lovely highlighting. Okay. So now with that, I can make a Dockerfile development file, which I might, let's see. How did I just forgot how to make a function in Bash. It's completely blanked. Okay. I think I've done it. Should be in here. Yeah, you just have the name of the function. Okay. Let me have all of this in curly brackets. Close that. Make that a function. And I'm gonna put the development instructions in here too. Start with that template, generate Docker devel. Okay, this will be, and then the base, I'm gonna call this Actually, where does it go? Guess it's still built under my name. So I'm gonna call this JD Kent. That downloader. I'll use the conventions that I have been using. So I'll call this pull from the unstable tag. Okay. And now I want to package manager equals apt. Okay. Let's see if there's anything else. I want to copy the actual. Yeah, now this is, I think, basically going to be the same. Okay. So home coder, bash, downloading code server, putting that stuff down. Okay, all right. And then I'll put an if statement here. So in case somebody calls this bash script like I'm going to, can know what function it needs to run. So the first argument to this bash script is equal to app. Then it will.
What is that if statement saying? I'm a little confused.
So the in bash, whenever you pass in an argument to a script, it assigns them to variables 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, incrementing up. So if I was to make a sh, do I have nano? Sure. That works. Okay. So if I was to echo like the first argument, and if I say bash test bash sh, hello, then it will print back hello. If I put another argument, it should ignore that other argument since I'm not doing anything with that other argument. So it's still just printing out hello. But if I add in how it can handle some other arguments, echo 2, echo 3. Now if I type this, it should print out all 3 now. Since I passed in argument 1, argument 2, and argument 3. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. What did you open up to do that though? Is that the
text editor?
Yeah, the text editor that you just.
Yeah, this is Nano, but I guess Windows. So nano.exe.
Mm-hmm. And you just ran that through bash and test that. Okay. That makes sense. Okay, it makes sense to me.
So the first argument is going to be, in this case, app. Then I want to generate Docker. I forgot if I need to call the function with the parent or if it's merely enough. I do not. Okay. I want to be here. Okay. What was it? elif? I like lose all my bash knowledge like daily. Okay. Then I want to do generate Docker devel. Okay. See if this works. So we'll call bash scripts devel. Did nothing. App. App did something.
Oh, I think it's because
two.
devel.
Sorry.
Yep.
Thanks. There we go. No.
Never mind, I'm lost too.
Unless if it's, if, I forget how you specify an elif conditional in bash. I don't know if that was the right way. Is it if else? Is it something different? Elif? What do I need to have? That's what I have here. It's the same. I have an else. Do I need a? I forget an else. You don't need anything else. Okay. An else. Like a unknown option. Okay. What? Oh, package manager. Yes. Package manager. There we go. No idea why it didn't work that one time. Okay, but now it appears to be working. So now I just need to make sure that this base image exists. Which I'm going to ensure that it exists by saying docker tag jdcat xnat dl. I'm going to essentially copy it over. Xnat downloader unstable voice. So I'm going to forward this into a file that is called Dockerfile devel. Now let's see what happens. I try to type in docker build tag jcant xnat devel. Sure. File Dockerfile devel period. We'll see if this works. Looks like it's downloading the VS Code remote thing. Unpacking it. Now it's installing git lens and no, what did it fail on? Oh, Windows. Okay. Let's take a look at what did it try to do here. I do not want that. I need to. I'm going to Google this after we're done.
So here we're just once again manually changing the file path.
Yeah.
Because Windows wants to assume a Windows file path that does not exist.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay, so I think this will work. Everything was running so well. So now it's downloading VS Code again, the one that can run remotely. Unpacking it again. Delete this file, don't need that. Now it's installing the extensions. For Git lens, that gives us helpful Git information. And then Python, since we're using a Python environment, this gives us all that, all those icons that allows us to test and debug and with Python code. Within the VS Code environment. That was successfully installed. And okay. So look at our Docker images, see what we have. A bunch of blank images. Of this xnat devel. Okay. So let's see if I can run it. If I have Docker run, I don't think I need to specify IT, but I will anyways. Then port was, let's say 8080 to 8080. And then it's going to be actually, I might use PowerShell for this one. I think PowerShell might be the less painful. I don't know if they add like the additional paths, or I think PowerShell might have fewer surprises for me than Git Bash. Let's put it like that. Docker run, remove IT. The port that I want to map is 8080 onto 8080. And I might just keep it like this for now. So gcont xnat devel. And let's, I think that's everything. Yes, I would like to open that. No. So it'll work with 127.0.0.1. All right. Oh, I think the folder I specified was incorrect. It should open that folder. Control C, go back to Bash. Let's rebuild. I'm just gonna pretend that I ran that and just change this. Since I already have to manually edit all those freaking lines if I don't do that. And I'm gonna build this. Okay. Go back to PowerShell. Let's run that again. That warning sounds ominous. See how ominous it is? Okay, not so ominous. Looks like I have access to all the files in here now. All right. So it looks like I won't get into the step where I'm converting the Circle CI into actual tests, or the continuous integration into actual tests that I can run on here. But that will be the next step. Did that even copy over? It says Circle CI. Does this not have the Circle CI directory? Let's open up terminal. Use it what? It doesn't exist.
Is the bin, the /bin there, have anything to do with that, perhaps?
User bin bash does not exist. I didn't think that that would have a. Right. I didn't believe that would have an influence on this. I guess I'd have to. What can I specify? Can I have a terminal that just runs sh? Start debugging, configurations. So I'll go to preferences, settings, bash. I guess sh isn't very shell. Shell Windows. But I don't know what settings I can do. Automatic shell. Okay. I need to look up. What can I pass into here? Managing multiple terminals. Configuration. I guess I don't know where bash is located per se. All right, oh, because that was the environment variable that I set inside the Dockerfile. So I said, where did I say that? The shell is under user bin bash. So I control C that. I'm going to change my entry point to bash. I don't need any of that stuff. Entry point, bash. Oh, IT. Then which bash, bin bash. I guess that would need to be bin bash, bin bash. Bin bash. Okay. I guess I think, but I thought this would have overwritten it since this says bin bash, which should be the place that this one looks for. Yeah, but it's not running. Okay. User bin bash. No, that shouldn't be that. Just be bin bash. Okay. So if I go back to this, Docker build. All right. I think that will solve that problem. I guess I honestly don't know why it said user bin bash instead of just bin bash like I specified in here. But now this should be the correct path. And then it should be able to open up in the Dockerfile. Okay. A bit of a chore, but I think that we've gotten our development environment set up. So this means that as soon as I push these images to Docker Hub, then Trevor, you'll be able to access this environment.
Okay.
And be able to use it as without any of the pain that we just went through. You'll just be able to run it. And then it should just work.
All right. Then zooming out a little bit, this Dockerfile contains what we need to run what programs and what objectives?
So this is for XNet Downloader, which downloads the data from the XNet server, and what's on the XNet server is all of the imaging data from our projects.
Okay.
So this is the automated way of downloading the imaging data.
Is this how does this related to the accelerometer data stuff that you've been working on?
So this is related because both of these processes are going to be automated, and they are both going to have log files that say whether or not the file has been downloaded or copied over successfully. So we want to be able to identify files that have or have not copied over successfully.
Okay. And these are both doing that pipeline.
In the sense of copying files from one, or downloading files and moving files from one location to another. Yeah, both of these, and generating log files, both Excel bids and XNet Downloader accomplish those tasks.
Okay.
Just the accelerometer application is focusing on the accelerometer files, and this one is focusing on the downloading the DICOM files from the XNet server and converting those. Okay, so if I say new terminal, hurrah. All right, so now that works. And the next step will be figuring out why the .circleci folder is not copied in here. And getting that copied in.
And what folder does that do?
It's in the Docker ignore, I bet. That has, oh yeah, I guess I have it specified in here. And that is, the circleci file is what runs continuous integration. So that is the file that is currently manually setting up and running tests on some external service that I do not have, that is only ran every time that you make a change to the code. So if you wanted to see if the changes to your code on your own machine, if those actually worked without having to push it to the GitHub repository, right now you can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to make it so that you can do that.
Okay.
So I need to change some of these commands right here. I need to change them around so that they are represented as a test, or as like a test Python file, like what you saw in the Excel bids when you had a test directory, and inside those you had like test_run and test_redcap, and all those files. So that's the next step, is to make those files. Okay, I think that's going to be everything that we're going to cover today.
Okay.
2 hours is way more than enough.
Yeah, I think this was a kind of a good exercise for kind of getting familiar with building and running Docker files.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I really like I really like shadowing this. It still feels very complex for me, but I really appreciate the exposure to it.
Yeah, there's a few moving parts, and yeah, we covered like absolutely zero Python.
Yeah.
So everything was just like trying to, how do we get Python to work, which can be a pain in of itself.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it's nice to have sometimes applications like Google Colab, like we're doing for the brain hack, where things are just already set up.
Yeah, and I've been having trouble with Google Colab, that too. So it's all the different applications that interfaces, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot to have in your kind of your wheelhouse, your memory.
Mm-hmm. For sure. I'm gonna stop recording.